Welcome to Undoing I Do with Stephanie and Ade. I'm Stephanie Hunnell, the owner of the Hunnell Law Group, and your co-host for tonight.
And I am Adela Sherilyn Dow, the owner of the law offices of Adela Sherilyn Dow in Staten Island, New York. Stephanie, how are you today?
Great. How are you? I see you're outside. I'm very jealous. It's windy here.
Listen, I like I said to you earlier, if I start getting carried away by the wind, everybody's going to have to forgive me because I will have to change locations. I'm not about to end up like Dorothy and Toto or anything.
That might make us go viral. You have no idea.
You know what? I'll do it. I will take it for the cause. You know what? I've had a reconsideration, and I will take it for the cause if it makes this go viral.
Family law attorney flies away.
Some people might be looking for that to actually happen. So,
It's true.
oh goodness. So we're going to talk about a really cool topic, a hot topic. Should I or should I not date during my divorce? And you know, I have opinions.
Yeah.
I have opinions for days.
I have lots of opinions for this. Oh my, our face just got really huge.
I sure enough did. I wasn't sitting far enough away. Hold on. Okay.
All right, there we go. That's better. I got this little cute little sign here the other day at Home Goods, so I wanted to make sure I could see it because we have to make sure everybody realizes we're on every Thursday at 6 p.m.
Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Go tell your friends, tell your enemies for that matter. I mean, they might need some help too, and maybe they'll be nicer to you. I don't know. But and maybe you should tell your
friends because right now that's what we're talking about.
Yes, tell your man friend or your girlfriend that maybe they need to think about what they're doing when they dating and putting their stuff all up on Facebook when other people are not supposed to know what's going down with them.
Yep.
So what's your opinion? What do you think? To date or not to date? Because you know.
Look, I think everybody, whether you're going through a divorce, not going through a divorce, whether you're still married and your significant other spouse doesn't realize that you want a divorce yet and you're dating, that's your prerogative. But it has consequences. So you're going to put your business out there. It's going to have a consequence. You know, in a divorce, I want to make sure, and I think it's the same, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in New York as well, but there isn't a consequence where you're going to have to pay more dollars because you're dating somebody during your divorce. But you have your business out there. You have the person who's now going to be aggravated and defensive. You have some issues with custody, depending on what's going on with the relationships. So you have those kind of consequences that you have to think about.
Yeah. That's entirely true. And I don't know. My main opinion is that you should kind of sort of finish what you started before you start something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you were saying, it just makes everything so complicated. Now, listen, you know, everybody deserves to be happy. Go out and have fun. Nobody's telling you not to, you know, have entanglements, as Will and Jada said. And we don't know Will and Jada. Please don't sue us. All right. We don't have an opinion on your particular situation.
Nope.
But
we do have lots of opinions on everybody else's.
We have opinions on all the other people's situations. But, you know, to have a full-on relationship that's all hanging out in public when you're not finished with your divorce, it can make things so messy for everyone involved, including the lawyers. And believe it or not, most of us are perfectly fine getting our drama fill on Real Housewives of Atlanta or whatever junk television we like to binge watch. We don't need it to be going on in your life so that then we have to defend you against it. And I think the biggest thing is that a lot of times you've moved on, but your spouse really hasn't. And so they're not emotionally capable or ready to even deal with the fact that you have this new person in your life. And sometimes that creates vendetta situations, jealousy situations, situations where they want to try to use the relationship as leverage because you shouldn't be bringing that person around Johnny or Timmy and all this other nonsense that we could really eliminate if you just live life on the QT for a little bit until your divorce resolves.
Yep, that's especially true when you're posting great pictures of you on this vacation or this beautiful hike, and or your significant other now is tagging you in these pictures, my new boyfriend here, and you're out eating dinner and you're out doing all of these fun things, and that other person is seeing it. It's really in their face, and it will only encourage them to act more reactively and defensively during the divorce litigation.
Yeah, and what that does is it costs you more Benjamins.
Yep, more money, more money.
More money, and you gonna have more problems.
Yeah. Mhm. For things that really don't have to be a problem. Like I remember one case because there was a lot of pictures online of them eating out and drinking and all of this, and that became a huge issue where there were subpoenas of all the bank records, there was credit card statements, there were all of these things that we had to review extra carefully and produce a more significant volume of than we normally would have warranted in this type of a divorce. Um, and not to mention also on the side, because this case also dealt with older children, so like teenagers, really don't handle that very well.
They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't handle it well unless they're gonna try to use it to manipulate a situation. Like for instance, Timmy sees that Sally's bag is at your house, and he's like, "Wait a minute, Dad, why you have a brand new Michael Kors bag sitting up over here?
Mm-hmm.
It's not for you. So who is this bag for? Oh, so you don't want me to tell Mom that Sally is really in your life, do you? So in order for me not to tell Mom, because there's some really savvy teenagers out here. They're like little OGs.
Yep.
They are. I mean, as we practice matrimonial law, Stephanie and I have seen it all. Some of these children will do things to manipulate a situation to their benefit and make the divorce so much more complicated because the co-parenting relationship is then not one that's built upon trust, right? Because everybody's trying to hide one thing from the other person. And that is really not beneficial to you in the long run at all. So if you're going to date, you don't need to do so in a manner that just throws all of your business up in front of your spouse's face. So like Stephanie was talking about with the Facebook posts, we don't need to know that you went on that nice romantic hike. No, we don't. Mm-hmm. We don't need to know that you were bike riding because you got a bike from the hotel as you rode out to Seagirt on your bikes or whatever. We don't need to know that. Don't start flashing pictures of hearts in the sand.
Right.
When you know that your ex is not down with it and they're not going to be reasonable.
So speaking of hearts in the sand,
See,
this is a post-judgment issue, not a divorce part issue. So we tracked this person through Facebook over the course of a couple years. And, with the posts with the boyfriend, and there was like, you could see where they met. And then all of a sudden there's like heart posts, and then those were gone. But they announced their engagement on Facebook. A week later, they showed pictures of their new backyard. So they're living together. So we were just not saying anything for a little while, and we're just pulling all of this information. And of course, then we're filing our motion to be relieved of having to pay any alimony, because he confronted her and she was like, no, that's not true. We're not sure at all. Nope, nothing. We're not living together. I'm like, you can't.
So my question is, who was posting? Was she posting or was he posting?
He was posting and tagging her in posts.
And she didn't know she was being tagged. Come on.
She had to have known. She had to have known.
Like, doesn't Facebook notify you? when
But
you being tagged?
also, well, I think she just thought she was smarter than him because he was not her friend on Facebook. Of course, you have a cousin or a friend of a friend who's
Yes. Yes.
getting
That
that
person that you
information.
think is your friend,
Uh-huh.
that they're really not your friend. They're sitting up there sipping the tea, plotting your demise. In the meantime, talking about, oh yes, oh, right in front of your face.
Yep.
Remember that song, Backstabber? They smile in your face.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that person.
Yep. Hmm. And they're all over the place.
Yes, they're all over the place rooting for whatever kind of demise that because they're jealous of what you have, or they're,
Mhm.
jealous of what they think your situation is. You really have to be so careful of these things. Look, nothing on social media is a secret. It just isn't.
Mhm.
I mean, by now we all have seen too many of people's body parts and all kinds of stuff that nobody thought that we were ever going to see, simply because of social media. So let's be realistic here. This stuff is going to come out, and the biggest thing that you were just talking about is the amount of money that people are going to spend on their boo. And
Mhm.
listen, I have a case right now where the boo has their own credit card
Oh,
on my client's account. Like, no, no, this is a no no. I used to have a Spanish teacher. His name was Mr. Perez, and he would always say, "This is a no no. This is a no no." That okay? I wish I could just have a bobblehead that says that, because
no, no.
this is a no no. You don't do it. Because now, when we're in the discovery phase, and I'm sitting up there, and we're not even in discovery right now, I'm looking to see, like, what's being spent. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden I see this. Well, who is that? That's not your daughter or your son
Right.
or your grandma or mommy or something. Who is that? Right? And why is this person out buying things at the types of places that they shouldn't be going to
Oh, no.
on your credit card? Stop it. These are the so it's not even just about, oh, we don't want you to have a relationship. It's
Mhm.
we don't want you to fall victim to all of the things that come with
Yeah.
having a quote unquote normal relationship, because there's all kinds of tentacles that fan out that you're not thinking about that could really impact your case.
Exactly. I know. And, the goal of the show, what we really started the show is to help people. So help them save money on their divorces, understand the process a little bit better, and avoid like pitfalls. And this
Right.
is one of those pitfalls.
Yes.
Having these relationships during the course of your divorce, during the divorce process, really, yeah, just be smart about it.
Just be smart. Just keep it on the down low. I'm not telling you to live a whole alternate life, but just keep it on the QT. Like, really, because it's just not worth it. And I'll tell you that a lot of people, the first thing they say to me is, "Oh my gosh, is this adultery?" Don't even worry about that. Nobody's trying to have a whole adultery trial
Right.
based upon the fact that, after the divorce, you went and found somebody else. Yeah, technically, it's probably technically adultery,
Mhm.
but that's not really the biggest issue. The
Yeah.
biggest issue is how the other stuff that comes based upon the relationship can be used against you. I had a similar situation to you, and I think I talked about it on one of our shows early on, where my client's wife actually staged like a whole fake wedding, and she was still looking for alimony. This was a Jersey case that I had, I want to say
Yeah.
maybe like 10 years ago.
Uh-huh. No, I
And
don't remember this.
girl, it was all kinds of crazy because this they had wedding invitations and everything. It was a full on wedding, and it just so happened that the wedding was supposed to take place at the hotel that shared a parking lot with my old office complex. So on the day of the wedding, I'm like, oh, let me look out and see if I see anything. Sure enough, limos coming up, and this person had like a whole full on wedding ceremony, but they were still married. So I mean, what do the guests say? Right? I would have wanted my money back. They got like nice gifts and cash and stuff. Probably got a camera, a honeymoon. Really? Y'all are perpetrating
Oh.
a fraud because the wife was still married. And so the wife was still married to my client.
Uh-huh.
all kinds of.
What? Oh my God.
Isn't that ridiculous? Like, you can't even believe that it would even. Who does that type of stuff? Is what most people would say. Who does that in the world of
She does.
matrimonial law? We know somebody who's done it.
Yep. Yep. I don't even know the last time I've been surprised about something.
I can't remember that. So, that's another thing too. It's like, we don't even get that shocked anymore. Something has to be really ridiculous to shock us.
Yep.
That one kind of sort of, that was 10 years ago though. So, I was still a little loose and new. So that one kind of sort of did get me. Because I mean, you gotta have a whole wedding ceremony. And then the adversary, the wife's attorney, was still advocating for alimony because she wasn't really married. Are we really going to do that, sir? I mean, there's wedding pictures all over Facebook that say something different. So it's like, have your friend, have your entanglement. My mom used to call them friends, right? Have your friend, have your entanglement. But let's not have it get to be to the point where it's going to be outlandish,
right?
And you're starting to have fake weddings just because, like, you caught feelings for somebody and you just can't wait until your actual divorce is done. So let's just stage this thing over here. Perpetrating frauds, not right.
Yeah, that is. I haven't heard that before. So yeah, that one's pretty unique. But it also doesn't surprise me in the least.
Somebody's out there doing it,
There was a pretty big case like 20 years ago or something. The case is dated like from 20 years ago. And I remember reading about it because the person had remarried and before they were divorced, and the two of them knew that they did that. And obviously, because the wife and the husband knew they weren't legally allowed to continue to be married because the divorce hadn't happened. I think it was weeks even afterwards that the divorce happened. So I don't know why they wouldn't have waited. But the husband then, after like 15 years of marriage to wife number two, says, no, it's not a valid marriage anyway, so I don't have to pay.
He was just holding that in his back pocket. Like, by the way, this right here, this ain't real.
Yeah.
Just trying to let you know that this is not real.
So nope, he was like, nope, I'm not on the hook for anything because we both knew that I wasn't actually supposed to get married.
So let me tell you, this is, we're going into a whole nother arena. But again, that would not have happened had this person not been dating when their marriage was still on, right? But I had a situation that was relatively similar, except it was with the same spouse. So, we had I had a client who said to me, am I still married? Am I still married? So I'm like, well, what do you mean, are you still married? Well, we kind of sort of went through this whole divorce, and then we started dating each other again. But I'm not sure whether the divorce went through or not. Turns out the divorce had gone through, and she actually thought that she was still married to this man 20 some odd years later.
Wow.
And I had to tell her, I'm so sorry, but you're not married. You're not married. So... yeah.
And but I'm guessing that the 20 years forward is when they were trying to get divorced.
No, she actually did want to get divorced, but she wasn't really sure about whether she was going to get divorced. But there wasn't a whole, divorce proceeding or anything pending because he knew that they were still married.
I mean, you mean divorced?
Yeah, that they were still divorced, right? And she thought that they were somehow married, and that was talking about the common law thing too, where she we say to people, remember that there's no such thing as common law marriage here either.
Nope.
And if you're dating somebody who is married, you're gonna want to make sure that that's really dead as a doornail. Get the whole decree. Do what you need to do to make sure it has the little raised stamp on it. Do what you need to do to make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people out here just they're just doing too much. Doing too
Yeah.
much.
We were talking beforehand also a little bit about when the other person gets a little bit too involved in the litigation and in the divorce. So have you seen that in your experience? I have, for sure, where I'm getting calls from the girlfriend. Mostly, I'm trying to think. I have to say, I think it's mostly the girlfriend or the fiance, like the new girlfriend
Yes.
or the new fiance.
Yes.
I very rarely, and I can't even think of one time actually, when it
Nope.
was a boyfriend calling
Nope.
to say, we need to do
Nope.
X, Y, and Z.
I've never had that happen. The only time I've had that happen is if the boyfriend was a former client of mine and they just wanted to introduce the fact that their new girlfriend was going to be calling me for a strategy session. But aside from that, I have never had a boyfriend call and have like a whole extensive drawn out involvement in whatever their girlfriend is going through with their current situation. I've had boyfriends come to the consult, but never be, just to be a support, but never to be all involved. But I'll tell you, on the flip side, I have had so many girlfriends, fiancés call and really want to be so involved with what's going on with the litigation. And okay, so maybe that's because women are more type A and managerial than men are. Maybe it's because we're just nosier and we want to know what's going on because we're trying to secure our spot as head boo as the old boo is going out.
Or free up a little extra money for that extra vacation.
Or those new Louboutins. Whichever one fits you. But that's a danger, okay? Because first of all, your ex is always going to somehow feel the involvement of your new person. They're always going to feel it, no matter how incognito the person thinks that they're being. And this manifests itself in many ways. Either when there's pickup and drop off of Timmy and Johnny, the new girlfriend is all, with the neck rolling and, well, you should do this and you should do that and blah, 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 blah. That is not okay. First of all, you don't need anybody to speak for you. Save having a disability or something like that. We're not talking about that type of situation. No. But if you are of capable mind, able to make sound decisions, you should know your facts better than anybody else. I should never have to turn to someone who's in a third party and in that kind of relationship with you to get the information that I need. They should never be speaking for you because, see, sometimes they start asking for stuff that you didn't even want and that you wouldn't have even thought about, and then they make it more complicated, Steph.
Absolutely. There, I had a consult, I don't know, a couple years ago or something, and I spoke with this woman like 3 times. I don't know where I got the patience from. The first time she seemed very normal and nice, and I was like, I have to speak with your fiance because I can't take direction from you. It's going to be his case, and I need to like hash this out with him. Fine. The second call was with both of them on the line. She was crying. She was carrying on. She was like, this is devastating to our family. I'm like, he was married for 15 years before you. So let's talk about that kid and that ex-wife before we're worrying about you and not being able to afford you or whatever it is that you want. And of course, I lacked sympathy for her because she was carrying on so much.
Yeah, she was performing.
Yep. Then she called a third time and she was like, I really don't understand why you're not taking my case. I said, it's not your case is the reason why I'm not taking your fiance's case because I can't, this is not how this works for me. It's like, referred her out and I said, this is not how it works because he on the call was very passive and didn't even like he explained a couple of things and he said, yeah, it probably should be reviewed, but it's really my fiance. She's very concerned. She doesn't think it's fair. Well, sorry. You thought it was fair when you signed that property settlement agreement.
See, this is where I start talking about that whole thing about you're not even in a situation where you're advancing your own desires.
Mhm,
Now this other person has come in as a proxy for what you even want. You don't even want any of this drama,
mhm, yep.
right?
I
But
mean, that's a
now,
whole host of things of what kind of personality you have to allow somebody to take over this much for you.
right,
Mhm,
especially this type of sensitive, very personal situation and type of litigation. And I mean, if everything's cool with you and your ex, why are you going to have a third party in there who had nothing to do with your relationship in the first place,
mhm,
making it more complicated for you? And then I also have to think about whether this is really the person that I want to be in a full-on relationship with, because if they won't even allow you to make decisions about your life,
mhm.
that's a red flag right there. That's one of those red flags where you're like, I need to exit stage left.
Yeah, especially if it's happening already before you're
Mm,
in the marriage. I
right.
mean, there's control issues and then there's control issues.
Definitely. Definitely. And you know what I tend to find, and this is why I love this show, because when we just start talking about other stuff, this is because everything is so combined. And what
Yes,
I
it's
tend
all
to find,
related.
yeah, it's all related. And what I tend to find is that sometimes people run right into, like my mother would say, let's not go from the frying pan into the fire,
Mhm.
because sometimes people run right into the same or worse situation with the new paramour.
Yep,
I love that word, paramour.
terrible.
We get into the same situation, but it's a new person and a new name and a new zip
Yep.
code.
Yep. Um, just as an aside, there was one person. I'm not always like this, but I can be. So there was this one person on the other side that hated the use of that word paramour. So I put it all throughout every piece of paper I could
Petty,
possibly.
petty. I love it though. Sometimes you have to be petty because people take you there. People take you
Yep,
there.
I did. Um,
But yeah, I mean, this stuff is just so your your marriage and your children are just so important that you really, and the negotiation of what is going to happen in terms of the dissolution of your marriage is so crucial to your future that I'm just very loath to tell people to be in full on stuff unless their relationship has really been over for the longest time and they're one of those couples where they've been living separate and apart for like 5-10 years and everybody's already gotten their groove back
mhm. Yep.
with wherever, and it's just not that important. Like, if that's the case, do you run your
Mhm.
life the way you need to run your life?
And you could tell there's certain cases that come in where both parties are actually being pretty reasonable. And there's things to fight about or argue about, like things that need to be resolved. But if you're overall getting along overall, then there's not any problem with it. But when you're not, that's just kind of throwing fuel into the fire of what's already an emotional situation.
Yep. And there is absolutely no need to throw any fuel into that fire. It is hot enough to have to deal with regular rumbles that go on in divorces.
Uh-huh.
We don't need any more.
No.
Listen, did I ever tell you about the time I was in court in Staten Island? Okay, don't anybody say, oh, that's because of Staten Island, because it probably could have happened in Brooklyn. And don't say that that's because it's Brooklyn. Anyway, because I'm from Brooklyn, so I'm a little sensitive. but I was in court with my one of my favorite clients. I have to call her and see how she's doing. But one of my favorite clients, and she brought her new man, and then her ex-husband. They were divorced. They were
Uh-huh.
divorced. Her ex-husband brought his new girlfriend, and the two guys went fisticuffs. One of them got arrested.
Oh, no.
Yes. And that was not good because of course it's gonna get right back to the judge. And
Of
then the
course.
judge punished us.
Everything
She
that
didn't even call
happens
her
in the
name.
hallways of the courtroom, the judge hears about it, by the way.
the judge hears about it. Don't think that they're not going to hear about it. Sometimes they're, well, not in New Jersey so much, but in New York, sometimes their robing rooms are right in front of the courtroom. So you could be arguing, saying all kinds of stuff, snapping your neck, acting all like you're big and bad, and you're right in front of the judge's robing room, and he or she is going to find out about it. Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed because both of them were my clients, right? Not the two guys, but my client and my client's boyfriend were both my clients. And I was like, why do we have to do this right now? I mean, can't we all just be adults and get along? I mean, so don't bring, oh my gosh, if you know that your opposite sides have conflagracious personalities, don't bring them to court, please. Somebody's gonna get arrested. And it's not gonna be cute.
No, and so on the flip side of that, I've had couples that brought their new partners and they've all gone out to lunch afterwards. So, I mean, it can happen, but
yes,
you know when it can and when it can't happen. And you know when you're bringing your boyfriend or girlfriend or new bae, whatever you want to call them, to the divorce proceedings just to get under under their skin. Because I've seen it.
Yes, and it's so not worth it, y'all. It's just not. I mean, we're not telling you not to move on and have a great life. Do that. That's why we're here. We're here to help you usher in a new beginning for yourself. We want you to have whatever kind of relationships that are going to make whatever the rest of your years are happy and content. We just want you to do it in a way that doesn't blow up your life for right now.
Right. Or, you're going to get a deal because you are going to settle for something that you wouldn't have normally settled for because you end up spending more money on litigation costs and you don't want that to happen. So you're going to you know what? I did want to make one point. On the flip side of all of that I cut my own self off is sometimes when people are dating during the divorce and they have a level of guilt about that, sometimes they will give up the farm when they shouldn't. So that's also something that exists when you're dating during your divorce.
That is so true because, and I've seen that so often. I mean, I usually see it though when the dating started before the complaint was filed, where somebody was dipping out, and they had an extra marital relationship. A lot of the time, before you even know it, before they even know it, the guilt has hit them and they're giving up the entire farm. Oh, okay. You want the cars? Oh, you want the house? Oh, you don't want me to take any of your pension? You don't want, okay, I don't need it. Go ahead. And again, this is where we have talked about in the past, where sometimes that creates a monster. And then you are actually doing your own financial future simply because you just want to be out of this. You may not even be in the relationship anymore, but you're feeling guilty about the fact that you were in it. And sometimes we don't know when that guilt is going to catch up with us.
No. And 6 months, a year down the road, when you're no longer in those feelings, and you're like, why did you let me agree to this?
And we're like, we told you.
See this letter I made you sign?
That part. Yes. Because we're always gonna make you sign something that says that we told you that you were not doing the right thing and that you were doing the wrong thing against our advice. Don't get caught out there like that. Stephanie, girl, this has been an awesome episode. I had so much fun.
It has been. This has been one of our most fun episodes, I feel like. I laughed a lot again.
We always have a good laugh.
We do.
Even when we're talking about business valuations, which is going to be a series that's going to be coming out soon.
Yep, I think we have the first one next week, correct? I think, right? Yep, talking about cash businesses.
Spending that cash. Oh, what cash businesses? Are cash businesses a thing? We'll talk about it next week.
See you next week. Thank you for watching Undoing I Do every Thursday at 6 p.m.
with Stephanie and Ade. Bye, everyone. Share and like our videos.
Yes.